So lately, we've heard a lot in the mainstream media about just how wonderful Donald Trump's tax reform plan has been for workers, because you see headlines about how companies like Starbucks, Home Depot, AT&T, they're all giving these one-time bonuses to workers as a direct result of tax reform. But contrary to popular belief, this is not a plan that's good for workers. In fact, it is harmful to workers. It raises taxes on average Americans. And everything that we're seeing with regard to how great this is for workers is nothing more than corporate PR. It's bullshit to gin up public support for a policy that Americans know is going to screw them over. As Vice explains, corporate America celebrated tax cuts by laying off workers. Don't let a twisted and dishonest PR scheme by massive companies grateful for Trump's huge Christmas present distort the truth. And according to a recent poll by Reuters, just 2% of workers are reporting that they've gotten a wage increase or a one-time bonus because of this tax reform plan. So the question is, what's happening? Because even though we see these sensationalist headlines, it's not trickling down to workers. The wealth is staying at the top. So what are they doing with this money? What are billionaires and multinational corporations now doing since Donald Trump gave them this huge gift? Well, they're using that money to either buy back stock or lay people off. So as Rick Paulus of Vice reports, Trump and his Republican allies want people to think that the bill will be a boost to workers. The passage of the tax cuts was quickly followed by a slew of corporate press releases, more than 70 in all, announcing employee bonuses. Walmart gave eligible associates, meaning long-time workers, a cash bonus of up to $1,000. Apple gave employees $2,500 in restricted stock, and Disney gave $1,000 cash bonuses to $125,000 out of 195,000 employees. In every case, corporations explicitly tied bonuses to the tax cut. Disney actually corrected a press release to emphasize the link. That all added up to a massive PR campaign on behalf of the cuts that elided all of the bill's negative consequences, like the decision by Kleenex maker Kimberly-Clark to use its tax windfall to fund a plan that included laying off 5,000 workers. And it's not clear that the cut directly led to bonuses or if the companies just credited Trump in order to garner goodwill from the administration. In AT&T's case, the telecom giant said it had given out $1,000 bonuses because of the tax cuts when actually it was pushed into handing out money by a union representing its workers. I'd love to see how much companies paid out last year compared to this year, said Richard Phillips, senior policy analyst at the Institute of Taxation and Economic Policy. Or that would have been part of Christmas bonuses that would have been paid either way. If the money isn't going to workers, where's it going? A recent survey of market analysts predicted that most of the tax cut will be used on stock buybacks. One analysis found that 20 corporations have spent $100 billion on stock buybacks since December. So what Donald Trump did is he made the rich richer and the poor poor, because those tax cuts that are being given to large multinational corporations, it's not trickling down to workers. It's just not. Corporations are doing what they can to become richer. Those CEOs are trying to fatten their pockets even more, and the article goes into great detail explaining that tax cuts don't actually encourage economic investment. Higher profits do. That's the way the economy works. But if there's no demand, or if some companies think they can actually increase profits by laying off workers and even automating jobs, then that's what they're going to do. And that explains why Harley-Davidson cited Trump's tax cut as a reason why they're closing a plant in Kansas City. Now, this announcement came at the same time they announced that they'd be opening a new plant in Thailand. So when billionaires like Bernie Marcus, the co-founder of Home Depot, and heads of multinational corporations tell you that you could thank Donald Trump's tax cuts for these one-time bonuses, they're gaslighting you. They're lying to you. They're tying these bonuses to tax cuts in order to improve public opinion of Donald Trump's widely unpopular tax plan. See, what these companies want to do is they want you to support Donald Trump's tax plan, and they want you to think that these tax cuts for them trickle down to you, so that way they have the peasants doing their bidding for them. Since they got a $1,000 bonus from Home Depot, for example, then they might pressure their elected officials to give large corporations more tax cuts, so that way they get more bonuses. But that's not the way that the economy works. If you really care about workers, if these large multinational corporations and billionaires actually cared about workers, do you want to know what they'd be pushing for? They'd be pushing for an increase in the minimum wage of $15 and also tie that to inflation. They would be pushing for collective bargaining rights, unionization. They'd be pushing for sick leave, vacation time, maternity and paternity leave, universal daycare. That's what they can do if they really cared about workers. But guess what? They're gaslighting you. They don't care about you at all. They're pretending to care about you because that's what serves their economic interests. They don't care about you. They just want to make sure that they make their company more profitable in spite of the spin that we're seeing. And we don't see the mainstream media really going to great lengths to call out these companies on their bullshit. Corporate PR, this is exactly what corporate PR is. It's propaganda. But why is it that the mainstream media doesn't want to call them on their bullshit? It's simple. These large corporations that benefit from Donald Trump's tax cut, they advertise with mainstream media news shows. How many AT&T ads or Verizon ads have you seen recently? How many Home Depot ads do you see? Do you think CNN is going to want to offend their advertisers by calling out their corporate PR? Of course not. So what we're seeing is propaganda and gaslighting. And I think it's important that we reiterate that trickle-down economics doesn't work. It never has worked in the past, and it never will work. It's bullshit. If you want to support workers, there are many things you can do to support workers, but of course they're against those things because they're full of shit.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.